So I want to share with you the process in order to expose yourself setting yourself up for a position to grow. And I say expose yourself because the reality is, without exposing where you're at, without any of the facade and the delusion, that's the first step. If you want to get better, you want to evolve, you want to move towards the peace and the fulfillment, you have to know where you're at. You need to know what level to start from, because you can go off on tangents and try diets and meditations and journaling practices and all these little practices and rituals, and you'll move the dial, absolutely. But if you don't expose, let's face it, your insecurities, your level of consciousness, let's go with the spiritual jargon, you really are going to move forward, but eventually you'll have to move back to exposing yourself, because if you don't expose yourself, and you've heard me say this many times, the universe will slowly expose to you where you're at through your relationships, your financial health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Eventually you're going to get exposed either way. My process that I do with my clients that I coach, let's just go shine the light on our insecurities straight away. Let's go and remove the addictions to allow the proper environment to expose where you're truly at in terms of your happiness, in terms of your mental health, in terms of your emotional health, and your physical health also. So, I've pretty much given you the process. If you want to evolve, the process, the first thing I always do, go searching for whatever addictions are present in your lifestyle, in the form of, and not limited to, because addictions is such a strong word. You'll be like, no, I don't have any addictions. What are you talking about? Everyone's got addictions. Smoking, alcohol, coffee, sugary treats, bad diet in general, fast food, soft drink, sugary juices, lack of sleep, work, being a workaholic, TV, social media, constantly being with others, and I'll add to that, never being on your own. That'll be the biggest. If you think you're the cleanest, healthiest, most Buddha-like person, have a look in the mirror and ask yourself how much time you spend on your own, free from any distractions. No music, no journal, no noise, no doing anything, no artwork, no playing the guitar, nothing, just sitting there doing nothing. How many hours a week are you getting of that? And for 80 to 90% of you, one of the things that I've rambled off at the start of this, the smoking, the shit food, the gym could be an addiction, constantly being with others, bouncing out of relationship to relationship, being a workaholic. One of those things 80 to 90% of you will have. Then the high achievers, the ones that are really trying to knuckle down with this kind of stuff, will still be missing that hours of alone time, not your 20 minutes a day of transcendental meditation. Repeating a mantra is noise. It's distraction. So when I talk about silence, that's what I mean. What does this do? Well, what doesn't it do? This is where the exposition, you're exposing yourself to allow your body to talk to you, right? To get some feedback. If you're having a coffee catch up with Jenny and there was heaps of background noise, you'd be like, Jenny, I can't hear you. Let's go to the park so we can have a proper D&M. Exposing means getting rid of the caffeine because it overstimulates your sympathetic nervous system, which means that you're never going to be able to have any kind of communication with your soul, because your soul's very much linked to the parasympathetic nervous system, which means rest and digest. Caffeine is not rest and digest. Caffeine is go, 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 go. So that's one way. Going to the gym like a maniac, like I used to, you never get any kind of intuitive communication with your soul if you're constantly trying to get fitter, constantly trying to get stronger, constantly doing squats or whatever it is. If you're talking to Jenny every time on the phone, going out here, going out there, you're having communication with others. How are you going to have communication with yourself? Emotional eating. Food numbs us to a degree, right? Yes, it nourishes us if you eat the right things. But if you eat the right things, you will not last long if you've got emotional issues, because you numb your emotional issues with shit food. Because that's been proven that junk, sugary, processed, fatty foods, or just process anything out of a packet, anything quick that tastes so nice, numbs us. The emotional receptors go numb. That's been proven. So that's why a shitty diet will definitely cover up to you your true state of emotional health. Being overweight in general makes you numb, right? Having excessive body fat makes you, deludes you. You think you're healthy, but come on, let's look in the mirror. That'll expose you, because as you lose the body fat, you will become more insecure because you can't hide anymore. You're exposed physically, which means you'll be exposed mentally and emotionally. Smoking, that nicotine rush, very similar to caffeine, will stimulate you so you'll never figure out your true state. What else can I go on? Workaholism is again like catching up with Jenny every day. Except workaholic people, they get away with it because they're providing for their families and they need to work to get ahead and set themselves up for the future. Makes sense. Well, I would argue that makes sense. It's compelling. It's a compelling reason that you speak of to be a workaholic. But that covers up your true mental and emotional state, your actual fulfillment in life, your happiness. Because 8 hours is what most of us normally log in. Workaholics push that out to 10, if not more. That you'll just never, you'll be highly stimulated on sugar and caffeine to be able to do that, which obviously I've just described to you, gives you a diluted view of your actual true state of health. But besides that, just the hours spent doing shit to make money doesn't allow you just to be in the moment, to see, to check in and see what your thought patterns are when there's no doing shit for work, what your emotions are when there's no deadlines to meet. We're too stimulated, is what I'm saying. So when you remove these things, my first process with all the people I'll coach, let's remove all these things, shall we? One by one. And yes, what do you find is that slowly, you find emotions popping up. You find the stinking thinking, the shit thoughts start to arise. You have all these things start to come up as you take things away that numb us and distract us. And when you fully commit to the path of wanting to be happy and fulfilled and to be in a place where you can have the courage and confidence to chase your dreams and to set goals and achieve them and see them through to the end, and to actually, let's go back to the spiritual jargon, manifest whatever it is you want out of life. That's, we could argue, why we're here, right? We it's kind of our God-given right, and we're lucky enough to be born and to have the understanding that if we really want something, we can really work hard and get it. But the reason why most people don't do that or even move towards that is because they lack the confidence and the courage to do so. And they lack the confidence and courage to do so because they have other emotional health statuses. Fear, guilt, shame, anger, rage, frustration, just to name a few. Because of insecurities, because of trauma, because of the upbringing that created those emotions in the first place. I'm no saint for all you new viewers. I dealt with my loneliness in the most abrupt way possible. So yes, I didn't get abused or I wasn't too angry. I was a little bit. You could piss me off here and there, but it wasn't a major thing. But I was severely, chronically unable to be on my own. Chronically. Very lonely. Which just means insecure. Let's be honest. Very insecure. And you could say a child is insecure. I led 27 years of my life as a child, let's put it that way. So looking in the mirror when I was 27, I looked somewhat like a fully grown adult male. But inside I was just a little baby. And 80 to 90% of you watching this video, if not all of you, will have some kind of childish psychology patterns. Otherwise, these videos wouldn't even entertain you. Childish psychology, the reason why it persists, as Carl Jung would say, is because we resist it. His clear quote is, if you resist, it will persist. Basically, if you don't look into your shadows will keep coming after you. And what am I doing with getting rid of addictions with my clients? Is I'm exposing the shadows so that they no longer have hold on you. Because like I said, if you don't expose them, the universe certainly will expose you. Eventually with bad health, bad circumstances, bad luck. Just having the cards wrong dealt for you. You just got bad hand every single time you go up and play. It's just because you haven't committed to the path of self-mastery. You haven't committed to the path of personal development. It's your responsibility to deal with your own evolution, your own personal evolution. No one's going to do it for you. No one's coming to get you. No one's coming to save you. There's no guru that's going to show you the way. Get rid of all the feathers, all the leaves, all the branches, just so it's a nice, smooth sailing walk through the jungle. No. A good guru will say that's the way you go, and take the sharpest sword you've got, the biggest shield you can carry, because it's a rough, treacherous walk through the jungle, but the guru will say, get through to the other side and paradise is awaiting. He would then go on to tell you, or she, the guru, whatever it is, the guru will then say to you that on the other side of the jungle will look very familiar because it's in fact the same place where you left off. And that's the irony of life. And that's why there's so many songs that say heaven is on earth. Because heaven is on earth. Heaven is a state of mind. Happiness is a state of mind. What does that mean, Shane? Well, a state of mind means at the click of a finger, you can get to that point of feeling that state, as Tony Robbins would call it. Just like you can get into a state of depression or negativity or pessimism or of being judgmental or a state of fear or a state of excuses or a state of laziness or a state of procrastination. You can too get into a state of heaven on earth, of bliss, of extreme gratitude, of extreme happiness. But you need to learn how to do that. And in my short experience, the way I've learned to get myself into a state of heaven on earth only came to me after going through a state of hell on earth. And you take away your addictions, you expose yourself to the hell of your emotions so that you do feel your OCD, your anxiety, your depression, your suicide, your loneliness, your boredom, whatever it is, that your inability to just be by yourself on your own, your inability to stay disciplined, your inability to not be able to commit to a personal development journey. Whatever your inability is, or disability, it's going into that and feeling that on the deepest, being vulnerable. And that's what vulnerability means, is like, okay, I can't be on my own. Take away the can't and go, I'm going to be on my own. And if it means I sit through the fire of depression, anxiety, frustration, OCD, whatever it is, your compulsions, okay, I'm going to sit through it. Oh, but Shane, I'm going to relapse. I'm going to make another video about relapsing and how you actually want to relapse. And I'll go into it quickly. By avoiding your true state of loneliness, boredom, depression, whatever, you're just prolonging the time where you feel you live in a funk, you live in just a mediocre existence. You go to a job you hate. You have thoughts that just drive you insane. You have a satisfaction with life like a half-chewed mango. It's grey. But you drag yourself through that greyness because you don't want to relapse. I'm all for the relapse. I'm all for the burning of the fire, and I'm all for the darkest room that you can find. I'm very comfortable in the dark room because I sat through it. And there's nothing special, nothing strong about me. Actually, there is now, I am strong now, but at the time I was a 27-year-old immature child. Wasn't ready for a dark room, but the environmental conditions of what I set myself up for, going to travel by myself, put me into that dark room. So when people say, oh Shane, You got to be careful. You're putting people into relapse. I tell them, where was my carefulness? Why was the universe not careful with me when he put me straight into a lapse of darkness? And it was tough, and I can go and play the victim. But 6 years later, here I am, the most happiest I've ever been, the most educated I've ever been, without going to university, without actually not reading too much. I've just gained wisdom just by living. Very clear in who I am, very clear on how the world works, very clear in how when people talk, I can very clearly see where they're stuck. Wasn't born with these senses. These senses came from the darkness, and you will gain your own senses by sitting through your own darkness. So the process to your evolution is to expose your true state of mental, emotional, and physical health by removing all the addictions that you have in your life. Spend the 6 to 12 months, if not year or two. Just remember how long it took me. Go through whatever you need to go through. Feel, more importantly, feel the insecurities that you have, the loneliness, the boredom, the pain, the suffering, the frustration, the sadness. Whatever it is, you feel it. Don't be scared of it. You feel it. You don't medicate it, you feel it. You don't drink it, you feel it. You don't eat it, you feel it. And you'll evolve.